Mm-mm, mm-mm. I'm on line. I'm on line. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening, good evening. So, we have some important update with regards to quarantine facilities because if you guys have probably heard that a lot of travelers to the Philippines have been testing positive, and this is the response of the Bureau of Immigration, no, not Bureau of Immigration, Bureau of Quarantine with this problem. Because supposed to be when you test positive, they are going to contact you so that you they will arrange your transfer to the facility for isolation. This is supposed to be free, food is provided, but what is happening right now is that the Bureau of Quarantine is not even contacting those who tested positive, and they wind up staying in the hotel and paying for that extended stay of the hotel because BOQ is no action to it. So that's what we are going to tackle tonight. That is going to be our update tonight. I will also be answering travel related questions, immigration questions, and stuff. So I will be reading your comments in the chat box. So come on in, guys, so we can get started with this news. Hello, Steph Floor, Brother Jess, good morning. Good evening from Maribel, and hello, we're going to fly Philippines soon. Hey, Sir Ryan, good evening. So, especially to those who are about to fly to the Philippines or about to travel to the Philippines, this is very important. Like I said on my previous video, I am not wishing for you guys to test positive with COVID 19. It's like quarantine alone is no fun anymore. What more if you test positive? So that's actually mind blowing. But it's a lot better if you guys are prepared and if you guys already know what to do and what's going on, because with what the BOQ or with what the Bureau of Quarantine has confirmed, you will need a lot of money for it. So let's get started. I will be sharing you guys my screen, and I will be reading this advisory from the Bureau of Quarantine. So let me put that up. So this was the response of the Bureau of Quarantine for the quarantine fiasco on that the BOQ, no more quarantine facilities for returning Filipinos. So due to the surge of COVID-19 cases, the Bureau of Quarantine or BOQ announced on Friday that quarantine facilities for returning overseas Filipinos or ROFs are already full. So, ROFs, these are returning overseas Filipinos to the Philippines. These are non OFWs, these are former Filipinos, these are dual citizens, Filipino citizens, permanent resident of a particular country, green card holders. So, and if you are flying with your foreign spouse, he is included on this new advisory. According to the interview of Super Radio DZBB to BOQ Deputy Director Dr. Roberto Salvador Jr., that the increase of virus amongst returning overseas Filipinos, napakadami nag-positive ngayon. So ngayon, hindi po namin alam kung saan po namin madadala yung mga nag-positive nating kababayan. Kasi yung mga nakaalat for quarantine facility for ROF, puno na po, he said. So what he was saying is, there has been a lot of cases of positive with COVID-19, especially to those returning overseas Filipinos. So the BOQ itself, or the Bureau of Quarantine itself, don't know where to put them to those who tested positive, because the allotted quarantine facility for returning overseas Filipinos are already full. So, in short, with what they are saying is, if they don't have a facility to put you in, they don't have a facility to transfer you when you test positive, then you will be staying on that hotel where you're at, and you wind up paying for your extended stay on that hotel. According to the Bureau of Quarantine official, many returning overseas Filipinos are paying for their own lodging and quarantine motels as a result of this. ROFs, or returning overseas Filipinos with negative RT-PCR test results and immunization cards, will only have to stay in quarantine for 5 days. Those who do not meet these conditions will be subject to 7 days quarantine, according to Salvador. So the 7 day quarantine, these are for unvaccinated travelers. So this is not good, because if you are one of those travelers to the Philippines, you may have to budget another 10 days for extending your quarantine. This is in case you test positive, because, for example, you are a returning overseas Filipino, you are traveling to the Philippines, and you are fully vaccinated. So your quarantine is only 5 days. So on the fifth day, you get swab, and on the fifth day, or the day after you got swab, your results came in. You can actually find that out at One Health Pass. So One Health Pass po yung nakikita. You will find out, you found out that you tested positive. So that's additional 10 days quarantine. So before, what the Bureau of Quarantine is doing, when you test positive, because they have the records of it at One Health Pass, they will call you, or they will contact you for the arrangements of transfer into the quarantine facility for the positive patient. This is provided by the Philippine government, and this is free. The food is also provided, but like the deputy officer said, that this is not the case anymore, because the allotted quarantine facilities for returning overseas Filipinos are already full. It's been occupied because of more positive cases from returning overseas Filipinos on a daily basis. So 5 days plus 10 days, so that's a total of 15 days. And what I've heard, that your day one starts when you receive your swab test result. So, meaning you have already quarantined for 5 days for the mandatory quarantine of the Philippine government. But when you test positive, when you receive your result that you are positive, that's day one of your 10 days quarantine or isolation. And they said on day 11, a doctor from the Bureau of Quarantine or Department of Health is going to check up on you, and that's when they are going to give you clearance that you are done with your isolation or quarantine. So that is what's going on right now in the Philippines. I like I mentioned in one of my videos, that this particular group that I am a member of, because I became a member of this group when me and my husband were going home to the Philippines after being stuck in the States for 5 months. A lot of posts that I see in there, most of them returning overseas Filipinos traveling with their foreign husbands, testing positive of COVID-19. And there was instance in there that the wife has tested positive, the husband has tested negative, but since the wife, oh, I mean, the husband tested negative, the wife tested positive, and since the husband is exposed to the wife who is positive, then he has to undergo the 10 days isolation as well, or the 10 days quarantine. So what's the scary part of this is, if you have only budgeted 5 days for fully vaccinated, 7 days for unvaccinated, if that's only your budget for quarantine hotel, for your for hotel quarantine, where are you going to get the money for the extended 10-day stay, if what the Bureau of Quarantine is saying, that there is no more vacancy, or there is no more available quarantine facilities for returning overseas Filipinos, it's full. And he said on the statement that many returning overseas Filipinos are paying for their own lodging in quarantine motels as a result of the quarantine facilities of for returning overseas Filipinos being full. So that's it's like, it's kind of like going home to the Philippines just got more expensive. It just gotten more expensive because you have to think of it in advance. You have to think of the worst case scenario, because it's already happening, that the Bureau of Quarantine is not even contacting those positive patients in quarantine in their hotels. And you can't get out because you are positive. You tested positive. You can't get out. You can't go anywhere. Uh, you can't do that, or they will not allow you to go out. You can't even get out of your bedroom when you test positive. The other problem with our kababayans, our fellow foreign nationals, is that they got swabbed on the fifth day or the seventh day, but the turnaround of the swab test result is taking 2 to 3 days. That is supposed to be within the 24-hour time frame. The Bureau of Quarantine says that the reasons of this is a lot of their staff have tested positive and currently on isolation. So, in short, they are short staff right now to those who are performing the swab test for travelers in quarantine hotels. So, this is two huge problems that the BOQ is actually facing, that the results of swab tests are taking longer than before because staff are testing positive left and right as well. And then the quarantine facility for returning overseas Filipinos, this includes foreign nationals traveling with their Filipino national wife, or traveling as a family, is now full, is already full, and they can't accommodate anymore of this traveler, this particular category, the returning overseas Filipinos, foreign nationals, because even the Bureau of Quarantine is having a problem looking for a facility on where to put them. So what's happening is this and so what's happening is the travelers wind up paying for the extended quarantine hotel stay. Like I said, if you test positive, that is additional 10 days aside from the 5 days or 7 days that you have already uh what do you call this, done. But I wanted to also clarify, or I wanted to make this clear to everyone. I am just doing this update to give you guys a heads up. I am not discouraging you guys not to fly to the Philippines because of all this chaos. That decision is still up to you. That is still your option. You guys have already heard what's going on with the Bureau of Quarantine, what's going on with the mandatory quarantine facility, and stuff like that. You guys are already fully aware that you may have to shoulder all the expenses of the extended stay if you test positive. I am the decision is completely up to you. If you guys still want to fly to the Philippines, despite of all this hassle, chaos that travelers are experiencing right now, that is completely up to you. That is your decision. That is your option. What I'm just and I'm not gonna tell you no, don't go right now. I'm not gonna do that. Like I said, the decision is completely up to you. I am giving you guys a heads up on what you may experience when you get to the Philippines. And actually, it's good that you already know what's going on. You already know what's going to happen, just in case you will test positive. But hey, if you test negative, you will go home and continue your home quarantine. So this is just a heads up to everybody that on what's going on, because that is, aside from the cases over here right now is really going up on a daily basis, that the Philippines is experiencing another surge of COVID-19. So I just wanted to let you I just wanted to keep you guys in the loop that this is what's going on, that at least you guys will be more prepared. I know others, especially those on LDR, especially those on LDR that's been wanting to come to the Philippines for a long time. And I know you guys will not mind quarantining. I know you guys will not mind if you quarantine longer, as long as you guys can enter the Philippines. So that is the latest travel updates in the Philippines with it comes to Bureau of Quarantine scenario, the quarantine protocols in the Philippines. I will be uploading a guideline for quarantine because the Bureau of Quarantine has released a guideline for it. So I hope that after the chaos and everything, that the Bureau of Quarantine has already take actions to it, that hopefully the Philippine government has provided more facilities for quarantine. Can you imagine if you test positive, that's a total of 17 days for unvaccinated and 15 days for unvaccinated. That's a lot of money. Just like with that one Filipina that I watched on the news, she booked at Sheraton Hotel. That's the night rate is like 7,500 pesos a night. I was like, good lord, times 10 of that. Besides the 5 days that she already stayed in there, it's like, just like other travelers are saying, it's getting more expensive to go home to the Philippines. And I can't blame them, but you just need to, I'll be uploading tips on that. You just need to be a lot smarter than you have to be a lot more smarter with COVID-19, a lot more smarter when you travel to the Philippines. So I will go through the chat box and see if we have questions, because I don't want to take up all your time on this. And I will start answering questions already. So for this, so sorry to be late because my husband got sick on New Year's Eve, and now me and my two children we got the flu. Be safe, guys. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Maria. I hope you guys feel better. Sa hotel na pinag-quarantine doon nahawa ng COVID. At it's like hindi ko alam, Rio, kasi from the airport, I'm gonna translate it in English, okay? So everybody could, for our non-Filipino viewers, it's like I am not sure if they got it from the hotel or they got it from the flight from their country of origin. There's a lot of aspects that you have to consider, and you don't really know how the hotels sanitize their rooms for quarantine, because it's kind of like if one room is used for quarantine for this particular traveler, that traveler tested negative, they got out, then the hotel typically would sanitize everything. But I I don't know how rigid their cleaning is in a particular room when it comes to that, especially if the room is used by a positive patient. So I don't really know how rigid hotels, accredited hotels for quarantine when it comes to cleaning and sanitizing their rooms. So there's a lot of factor on that to consider on where these travelers are getting the virus. How could that possible? Isn't before you fly you need 72 hours? It should be negative. Yes, that is correct because that is a mandate of the Philippine government that is actually mandatory, a 72-hour negative RT-PCR test before you can even board the aircraft. But it doesn't mean that when you test negative, it
Well,
doesn't mean.
first of all,
Mhm.
72 hours before,
Yes.
if you caught it, let's say that you actually wound up catching the virus.
Mm-hmm.
If you caught the virus 86 hours before,
Yeah, it will not.
it would not register.
Yes, it
You
will
know,
know the.
and what you have just done
Mm-hmm.
is you have contaminated the plane.
Yes,
So anybody that gets on that plane has the
it's
potential to
exposed.
be actually
Yes.
carrying the virus.
So, like I said, there's a lot of aspects to consider. That could be on the plane, it could be during the process at the airport, it could be from the taxi, it could be from the shuttle bus, or it could be one of the staff of the hotel that you are staying in. So, like I said, a lot is to consider on that. So, there's still quarantine. Yes, there's still quarantine. People tested positive, extending their stay in the hotel. So they get help or treatment at least. It's more on the isolation aspect, like especially if you're not really feeling anything. In most positive patients I've heard is asymptomatic. If you're asymptomatic, you're not really feeling anything at all. But if you are you're coughing colds, you're probably going to be. I've on that one Filipina that I watched her video, she she asked for medicines from the hotel so she can treat herself because she said she's got the symptoms, which is coughing and colds. So she needed medicine for it. So it's it's to me it's a disaster because I truly believe that the system of the Bureau of Quarantine is a little disoriented. It's not organized, and I think they are not prepared for it when it happens. They are not prepared for it. They don't have a system. They don't have a flow on what's going to happen when a particular traveler tested positive, and if they run out of room, this traveler will have to stay on where her hotel quarantine is at. And how is she going to be treated? Is there a doctor that's going to check up on her? And what if she's traveling with a child? That's scary. A child that is not been vaccinated could very well be exposed with COVID-19. So it's a disaster, and I'm really hoping that the Bureau of Quarantine is going to take actions on this problem, because now that a lot has been testing positive lately from travelers coming from abroad, they have a lot on their hands, and if they're not going to organize this protocol for positive patients, then it's going to be a complete dreadlock. And it's not fair for travelers who's been wanting to go home to the Philippines to be with their family. There was one uh traveler. She only got 3 weeks of vacation. She is unvaccinated. Personal choice. So when you travel from the States to the Philippines, unless it's a direct flight, pretty much it's a whole day travel with all the process and everything. So she traveled to the Philippines. She stayed in the quarantine 7 days. After she got swabbed, she tested positive. She requested to be transferred to a government facility because, like, she told them flat out, I don't have the money for it. I don't have the extra money for 10 days. So they wind up sending her like 5 hours, 6 hours. I think it's in Batangas, outside Manila, and put on the government facility over there and stayed for 10 days. Then after 10 days is up, she got her clearance and everything. From then she was not, then she's responsible of her transportation going back to Manila, because Manila is where her, I mean, her final destination is. It really sucks. It's kind of like, I wish, I know the Philippine government is doing everything they can, but I wish they are more, they put more care to travelers when it comes to protocols like that, because it's very stressful, to be honest. All I can say is, wow, I know, TLM. Sad. What a very, very long day to quarantine. It is a very long day to quarantine. Good morning, Eaton Squad, or Addy from Gary. Hey Gary, good morning. BOQ are not fair. We complied with all the requirements. We do our part, and them not. Why they don't let make quarantine of port of destination? It seems the Imperial Manila is only the one with hotels. I know. It's like, it's the I I'm not happy with how the way they treat the travelers. It's not. I know if the travelers, it's like, I know going back to the Philippines is a complete risk. It's the risk that you're taking, because you know you have to undergo quarantine, and you just like expect the unexpected. But at least they're making it so hard to travelers to the Philippines with all these protocols. One would say yes, one would say no. You know what I mean? It's, oh my god. I think no more coming back to the Philippines until it's endemic. It's like, that would be the smartest way to say it, but I know others are still wanting to really come. And I can't blame them, especially to those who's been away from the Philippines for so many years and they just want to come and see their family. That's completely understandable, and you can't really tell them that we told you so not to travel. It's their own personal choice, and they are willing to undergo the quarantine and other consequences that they have to deal with when they go home to the Philippines. But it's just hard. It's like traveling to the Philippines now has gotten harder, and has gotten more expensive. Is all local flights suspended? And that one too. Local flights are suspended left and right. It's like, just I knew somebody, I knew a driver over here that's supposed to pick up a passenger at Jensen Airport tomorrow and Thursday, but the flights were canceled for this week. What I've heard is 86 of flight crews, probably in general, the total number, 86 crews of different airlines total has tested positive. So those who test positive will have to isolate before they can go back to work. That's true. Morning from Bronx, Addie. It's, as I'm speaking to you, 17%. It's freezing. Oh my God, that is cold. Right, TLM. No matter what, Addy, when the Philippines finally opens, I'll do whatever just to be with my fiance and our family. And I know you guys, it's like others said, I am willing to go through quarantine, however long it is, as long as I can enter the Philippines. And I completely understand that. Like I said, this video is not to scare you. This video is not telling you, hey, don't go to the Philippines. This video is informing you what you have to do in cases of testing positive, in cases of going to your final destination, in cases of requesting a quarantine facility for you. So this is a heads up for you guys, so you will know what to do when you get to the Philippines. Also, thank you for all your information, Eddie. You are a blessing. Thank you, Edwin. Also, do I have to bring, besides my proof of vaccine, anything else? Yeah, proof of vaccine, you have to bring that. And Edwin, I have the full list, complete guide of protocols to the Philippines on what to bring when you fly. Sana naman babaan ang rate ng mga quarantine hotel if ever na mag-extend. Yes, it's like I wish the hotels, I know it's like I wish the hotels will not use the regular rate for quarantine, because if it's not the Philippine government that's accrediting them for quarantine, they are actually closed. To be honest, with what's going on in the Philippines during pandemic time, not a soul in the hotel are going to check in during pandemic. Hotels are probably going bankrupt because of that. But then the Philippine government has given them a chance to earn some income, even though it's not the 100% income that they are making pre-pandemic time, but at least they are keeping their business in the loop. At least they could, give a more affordable rate for travelers for quarantine. Like Maribel said, especially to those who have tested positive for extended stay. I completely agree with that. Thank you always for the updates. I always watch your videos because what you're making is more reliable and trustworthy than looking for a news that I don't know if it's fake news or real. Thank you, staff. Looking like another year before tourists. That I don't really know, James. The chaos is ridiculous. I will continue to stay hopeful that they will allow tourists into the Philippines soon, God willing. Yep, all we can hope, TLM. It's my intention to stay in the Philippines once I'm allowed to enter. So paying the money to quarantine isn't a problem. Yes, I know. It's like most of you guys. It's like you guys from not traveling, or you guys have already saved for it. It's been very poorly managed, no question about that, TLM. That's right. Or the taxi driver is tested if they pick up the car. Thank you so much. It's like I don't know. It's like that one too. The drivers, taxi drivers who are allowed to pick up travelers, the transport from the airport to the quarantine hotel, don't have its own protocol if they are going through swab test, making sure that they are negative when they drive. So no such protocol on that as well. If the IATF put the US in the red list, what are the options of people scheduled for the trip? If the IATF going to put the US on the red list, only Filipino citizens are allowed to enter. When I say Filipino citizens, these are residents, permanent residents of the US, green card holders of the US, dual citizens of the Philippines. Former Filipinos are not even allowed to come in, or not even allowed to enter the Philippines if in case the US is going to be on the red list. And one thing about it, there will be no regular flights from the US. If you are one of those permitted or allowed to enter the Philippines, if you are a Filipino citizen, you have to be one of the government arranged flights. These are the bayanihan flights or repatriation flights. Our only hope is moon suits like astronauts wear on. I know. If my test came back positive after 5 days and my husband is negative, is he gonna? No, because he is exposed to you. He is staying with you to quarantine. Hi, Ma'am Addie. Please advise what's best, laboratory detoxicare or pod lab? I was like, the Toxicare, I believe, is exclusive for Philippine Airlines. Padlab are passengers, travelers landing in Terminal 1 and Terminal 3. So it really depends what airlines you're flying with. How long can the Philippine economy suffer, and mainly how the Philippine government keep these strict protocols in place? Why not let people work so they can take care of their families? Exactly. I really would have been okay if fiance was here with me, but that's life. I know, brother Jess. I completely understand that. Upon departing Philippines early last year, I stayed at a five-star hotel, not knowing it was a quarantine facility. I couldn't even leave my room yet. They were charging the normal expensive. It's like that's the thing. It's like that's the least the hotels can do on pandemic time. Like I said, if it's not the government accrediting them for quarantine facilities, nobody's probably checking in at their hotel anyway. You know, if the America be on the red list by the IATF, what will be the American citizens who are scheduled to travel as return ticket already from the. Like I said, if the U.S. is on the red list, only Filipino citizens are allowed to enter. More people getting infected there in the Philippines from other countries due to the incompetence displayed by the government. I know it's really shocking how did it got to this that it's like it was the positive rates of travelers from abroad is very high. So the good news from DOH today is that despite skyrocketing case numbers, the number of severe cases in NCR are actually going down. Yeah. Well, probably because most NCR is 100% when it comes to fully vaccination. So they are all fully vaccinated, and for sure the vaccine help on that.
And this isn't just a problem in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I mean, in the United States, 911 operators are being told, and
Yeah.
even the ambulances are being told. In Phoenix, Arizona, all ambulance drivers have already been told do not pick up anybody that is not in critical condition or has a critical case of the COVID
Yep.
because the hospitals are
Are full.
completely full.
Yeah, in the states, it's like in one of the news, like Forrest Swain said over there, when we have emergencies and stuff, we call 911, and 911 has even instructed that uh if you're calling because your side is hurt, your right hand side is hurting or something is hurting on you, if it's not a do or die situation, they're not even gonna pick you up. They're gonna tell you to stay home. It's just that's crazy. I read that Americans need to get visa from embassy before we can come in if it's true. That is actually true, Chris Jones. And 9A visa are only issued to immediate family of Filipino nationals. These are for foreign spouses of Filipino nationals, foreign kids, foreign parent of a Filipino national. 9A visas are also available for humanitarian business purposes, but you have to secure for the DFA exemption for that. Hello, keep us posted. I'm willing to wait until it opens. You got it, Floyd. Yeah, we have to get 9A visa to go. Yep. I'll get there one day. Oh, for sure. I have no doubt on that. Hi, Ma'am Maddie. It's Philippine Airlines post. So it's Detoxicare. Yeah, that's it's like I'm not scaring you, Geraldine. It's like many cases of travelers with Detoxicare. Not just Detoxicare. Padlab are also testing positive left and right. I've been waiting 2.5 years to get to my wife. I've had to jump through a lot of hoops. I'm a witness on that, Jeremy. I agree. If it's not critical, stay home in quarantine. That is quite true. So that's the that's the latest in the Philippines, in the US, what's going on. So it's I was wishing 2022 was a lot better, that we can move forward. It looks like we are stepping backwards. Four steps, one step forward, one step backward. It's not been good so far since 2022 has started, but I'm really hoping.
It's one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah, I'm really hoping. No, with the Philippines, it's four steps backwards. I'm really hoping that we will get this like, and also I will add on this live stream that the IATF is going to have a meeting again on Thursday for the new guidelines. That is for January 16th until January the 31st. They are going to be releasing the new list for green, yellow, and red list countries again. What's going to be the latest protocol for that period, January 16th through the 31st. I will definitely keep you guys posted on that. So I'm just gonna go through all the uh comments, guys. Then I'm gonna close this live. Hello, gamer boy. I need to get a job with Forest. Lots of laugh. You need to get a job with Forest. Okay. The other thing is no one at the San Francisco Consulate General Office answers. Yeah, that's the problem too. It's like sometimes like I emailed them one time, it's useless you guys have an email. It's useless that you guys have a phone line because nobody answers it. If I were you, don't even bother to post that in your website because it's useless. I'm here. Hey, Vinsoy. They answered my emails. It take up to a week or so. Good lord. What if you needed the answer right away? You gotta wait for 1 week? That would drive me nuts, to be
But at
honest.
least they answered it. There's several people that have emailed them that they haven't even answered it.
That is true. That is so true. So you guys, that is our latest travel updates to the Philippines. If you don't have any more questions for me, or if you guys have any urgency, inquiries, concerns with regards to traveling to the Philippines, you can direct message me on our Facebook page or Instagram, same handle, the Eaton Squad. Sometimes it takes me a while to respond because I get busy here at times, but I will definitely respond. So just please bear with me. I'm still waiting for tourists to be into the Philippines. I know, Binsoy. Hello, good evening there. Hi, Mel. Better than no response. Just keep, yeah, I know. It's like even their emergency toll free number, nobody's, it's like, that's an emergency number, and nobody even bothered to. Vincent, say hi. Vincent told me to tell you hi. So, guys, this is our quick update in the Philippines with regards to quarantine. Videos, I have videos to film actually, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you guys will be notified on updates like this. So, this is our quick update for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Addie, and I do travel updates. And I hope to see you on our next travel updates to the Philippines. Maraming salamat. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate your support to our channel, the Eaton Squad. I hope to see you on our next travel update. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless everyone. Bye.